So today we're gonna be reading the Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, and we're gonna start where we left off at page 160. 160. Abandoned in a junk heap by his mother, rejected for a crap game by his father. There was nothing more to lose. He was alone with his own perceptions and appetites, and they alone interested him. It was in this godlike state that he met Pauline Williams, and it was Pauline, or rather Mariner, that did for him what the flashlight did not do. The constantness, variedness, his imagination to be required to sleep with the same woman forever was a curious and unnatural idea to him. To be expected to dredge up enthusiasms for old acts and routine ploys. He wondered at the arrogance of the female. When he had met Pauline in Kentucky, she was hanging over a fence, scratching herself with a broken foot. The neatness, the charm, the joy he awakened in her made him want to nest with her. He had yet to discover what destroyed that desire, but he did not dwell on it. He, though, rather of whatever had happened to him, to the curiosity he used to feel nothing interested him now. Not himself, not other people. Only a drunk was there some break, some fluid light. And when that closed, there was oblivion. But the respect of married life that dumbfounded him and rendered him totally dysfunctional was the appearance of children. Having no idea of how to raise children, and having never watched any parent raise himself, he could not even comprehend what such a relationship should be. Had he been interested in the accumulation of things, he could have thought of them as his material hers. Had he needed to prove himself to some nameless others, he could have wanted them to excel in his own image and for his own sake. Had he not been alone in the world since he was 13, knowing only a dying old woman who felt responsible for him, but whose age, sex, and interests were so remote for him his own, he might have felt a stable connection between himself and the children. As it was, he reacted to them, and his reactions were based on what he felt at the moment. So it was on a Saturday afternoon, in the thin light of spring. He staggered him, reeling drunk, and saw his daughter in the kitchen. She was washing dishes. Her small back hunched over. Her small back, her small back hunched over the sink. Charlie saw her dimly and could not tell what he saw or what he felt. Then he became aware that he was uncomfortable. Next, he felt the discomfort dissolve into pleasure. The sequence of his emotions was revolution, guilt, pity, and love. His reaction to her young, helpless, hopeless presence. Her back hunched that way, her head to one side as though crouching from a permanent and unrelieved blow and blow. Why did she have to look so whipped? She was a child, unburdened. Why wasn't she happy? The clear statement of her misery was an accusation. He wanted to break her neck, but tenderly, guilt and opposites rose in his do it. What he could he do for her? Ever? What could give her? What say to her? What could a burned out black man say to the hunchback of his 11-year-old daughter? If he looked into her face, he would see those haunted, loving eyes. The tenderness would irritate him. The love would move him to fury. How dare she love him? Hadn't she had any sense at all? What was he supposed to do about that? Return it? How? What could his hands produce to make her smile? What of his knowledge of the world and of life could be useful to her? What could his heavy arms and brain accomplish that would earn him his own respect, that would turn him to accept her love? The hatred of her slimmed in his stomach and threatened to become vomit. But just before poop moved from anticipation to sensation, she shifted her weight and stood on one foot, scratching the back of her calf with her toe. It was a quiet and pitiful gesture. Her hands were going around and around a frying pan, scraping flecks of black into cold, greasy dishwasher. The timid tucked in look of the scratching toe. That was what Pauline was doing the first time she saw her in Kentucky, leaning over a fence, staring at nothing in particular. The creaming toe of her bare foot, scratching the velvet leg. It was such a small and simple gesture, but it filled him then with the wondering softness, not the usual lust to part tight legs with his own, but a tenderness, a protectiveness, a desire to cover her foot with his hand and gently nibble away the itch from the calf with his teeth. He did it then and started Pauline into laughter. He did now. The tenderness welled up in him, and he sank to his knees, his eyes on the foot of his daughter, crawling on all fours toward her. He raised his hand and caught the foot in an upward stroke, but Carlo lost her balance and was about to careen to the floor. Charlie raised his other hand to her hips to save her from the falling. He put his head down and nibbled at the back of her leg. His mouth trembled. His fingers dig into her waist. The wickedness of her shocked body, the silence of her stunned throat, was better than Pauline's easy laughter had been. The confused mixture of his memories of Pauline and the doing of a wild and forbidden thing excited him, and a bolt of desire ran down his genitals, giving it length and softening the lips of his anus. Surrounding all of this lust was a border of politeness. He wanted to ucker tenderly, but the tenderness would not hold. The tightness of her beat was more than he could bear. His soul seemed to slip down to his guts and fly out into her. And the gigantic thrust he made into her then provoked the only sound she made, a hollow suck of air in the back of her throat, like the rapid loss of air from a circus balloon. Following the disintegration, the falling away of sexual desire, he was conscious of her wet, soapy hands on his wrist, the fingers clenching, but rather her grip was from a hopeless but stubborn struggle to be free or from some other emotion he could not tell. Removing himself from her was so painful to him. He cut it short and snatched his genitals out of the dry harbor of her V. She appeared to have fainted. Charlie stood up and could see only her grayish panties, so sad and limp around her ankles. Again, the hatred mixed with tenderness. The hatred would not let him pick her up. The tenderness forced him to cover her. So, when the child regained consciousness, she was lying on the kitchen floor under a heavy quilt, trying to connect the pain between her legs with the face of her mother looming over her. So we're gonna stop right there. This was The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. And we're done with that chapter. So later or tomorrow we're gonna start the next chapter, page 164. Make sure y'all enjoy y'all Saturday. Keep thriving. The best is yet to come with Glow.